if you're not taking people through your sales process, you don't have a sales process. It will, at the most AI can do is, okay, here's a generic process that it doesn't even know what kind of coaching you do. Even if it does, it doesn't exactly know what it is.
Ask me questions, and you can give it the questions to ask you, or you can have it come up with a bunch of questions and pick the questions that you want it to ask you, the ones that you don't.
I know that you're going to stop because you're not going to see quick results based on how beautiful the garbage looks.
Hey, it's Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw, and unedited every week in our free Facebook community. Coaches Nation, welcome to another edition of the Coach's Journey podcast. I'm Daniel Fernandez, and I'm here with Faisal and San. We're going to talk about the one thing that your business won't grow without. There's probably many things, but your business definitely won't grow without this one thing, especially given the new AI world. And it's not a lot of random AI content. That's what it isn't. So let's talk about this thing. Do you want to reveal what it is at the beginning, Faisal, or do you want to just start talking about it?
Well, why don't we talk about what it is? And you already kind of hinted at it, that it's not random posts created by AI or even a process created by AI. And the reason for that is AI is going to give you all kinds of generic things to give you whatever output you're asking for. And depending on your prompt, depending on what you feed it, it'll give you some kind of answer. And the quality of that varies from really horrible to really good, depending on what you input in there. And we'll talk about, and we're kind of approaching it with the sense that AI is going to be important to use, but not the way most people are thinking about it. And then what is the unique thing you need to bring in? Did I give it away? What is the thing you need to bring in that will partly make the use of this powerful technology better, but more importantly, help you connect better with the right clients and help you continue your business forward in a better way for you to grow, for your business to grow, for you to connect with the right clients. And to do that, we'll go a little bit deeper into it. But the first piece is that just because you're using AI doesn't mean you will build a business. And I see this all the time, by the way. I've been following up like 10 people that I know, 10 coaches who are kind of partially successful. And I watch their posts and I watch what they post. They go like in this full force, and I can tell it's AI, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it because I use it too. But you see it, they're consistent 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 1 week, 2 weeks. Some of them have gone like 2 months plus, but then all of a sudden they disappear. And my suspicion is the reason why they disappear is because the thing that they're doing is not working. And so they're like, oh shit, it's not working, even though it looks perfectly good. And if they continued, maybe they'll get some results, but something is stopping it. And I don't know exactly what it is, but my suspicion, being in this field for this long, is that they're using AI to try to fix the thing that needs fixing in the background, which is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, the symptom seems to be like I'm not posting enough content, and the solution seems to be let me post more content, and the fastest way to do that is to use AI and post it. But the challenge with that, oftentimes, especially with what you're seeing out there, is a lot of it is generic, and it's not part of a consistent strategy. And so, like Faisal mentioned the thing that's missing in that solution is uniqueness. But it's not the only thing that's missing in that solution. It's the thing that's missing across their entire brand, right? And so, like every single coach, if you're watching this and you want to know how to build a coaching business, I would encourage you to embrace what's unique about you. Like, what's unique about you? Figure that out, know what it is, and live into it, lean into it. And then, if you're going to create content, it'll be unique to you and your experiences and your particular brand of being you. And AI can use that and leverage that to create things in alignment with that, and that's going to be more relevant to someone than just random generic content.
Yeah. And so this is gonna sound and all good, and I love that. Yes, of course, it needs to be authentic to you. It needs to be unique to you. And coaches here, that's like, yes, I'm working constantly on authenticity and my uniqueness, and they're always working on that. And which you should be. That's great. But the problem is where there's a technical challenge in here. Even if you're working on your uniqueness and that's a initial starting point, which means that you need to feed that to AI if you're going to get it to give you anything, like what is your style, it needs to read something. And it's initially it might just take your thoughts, you just share it or voice note your thoughts. I was actually teaching my parents how to use ChatGPT the other day. They're 80 plus. They're actually it was actually very helpful because they were stuck in social media, and I was like, oh, let me teach you something. I was a little bit apprehensive. I'm like, this is gonna give them way too much power. I was messing around with my both my mom and dad. I'm like, what are you gonna do now? So they've both wanted to write like a memoir type of their life, and they wanted to kind of leave it for us mostly, but they wanted to write it, but they both got stuck. They both wanted to do the same thing for years. They've been talking about it. Like, okay, I think I have a solution. So I got AI to kind of give him some format, and I got it to talk to them in Farsi, not even in English. So now they're conversing, and I had to teach them like, don't just get it to do it. Go upload the things that you've written and give it a starting point, and then start working with it. Wherever you get stuck, it will help you because it seemed like they were stuck. Amazing tool. Like this might actually help them continue, or they might go in a completely different direction. I don't know. But the key there is that AI needs to receive something that's so because it's good at modeling. It's good at modeling when and the more data, the better data that it has, it will model better. So what does that mean? That means that it needs to receive, for example, your training. Like how do you talk? You can upload audio and video now. Your how do you normally write? It needs to receive that. In the coaching world, how do you do your coaching sessions? Do you even do any coaching sessions? In the business world, what's your sales process like? If it doesn't know what you do, it will just give you a bunch of generic stuff. It needs to know your marketing process. It needs to know what's worked, what's not worked. Just like a mentor or a coach would need to do a bunch of discovery, it needs to know that. Otherwise, that mentor or coach is going to say, well, this is how business works. This is where YouTube videos come in. You can watch hundreds of these videos. Doesn't mean it will change your business.
If you think about AI, you can think about it like a system, right? The AI will produce an output, and the output comes from basically your prompt. But your prompt also contains inputs. And so if you don't have good inputs and you don't have a good prompt, you're going to have a not good output compared to what you want. So the beautiful thing about AI is it makes a lot of beautiful outputs, right? But those outputs might not be what you intended or what you want, especially if you don't check it. I just read recently about this story about Deloitte in Australia. I don't know if you heard about this. It just came out last week, I think, where Deloitte was like uh, had to refund half of a portion of its like $300,000 payment to the Australian government for a consulting report that had AI fabrications in there because they
Mm.
didn't like use AI intelligently enough to find the things that were made up. It made up like references to cases that didn't exist, and you remember that famous lawyer one, one of the first lawyer ones that he used ChatGPT to write the defense, and it was terrible, and it made up all these case laws. And they went to go investigate the case laws, and it wasn't even in there. So hallucinations are a real thing. It's getting better, but the hallucinations are getting more subtle now. And so like you can actually create really great stuff with AI that doesn't actually do what you want it to do or have the intended effect. And so I've started saying, we used to have garbage in, garbage out in the 80s and 90s. Now it's garbage in, beautiful garbage out. Like you get this amazing thing out when it's not actually going in the direction. So you have to really keep your brain on when you're using AI and think carefully around like what is it going to produce and what do I want it to produce and why? Like what's the thing you're trying to create and why? And then what do you actually need to provide it so that it can do that? Prompt is only one piece of it. There may be other documents, like if you're producing a memoir, right? You can say, hey, help me make a memoir. That's not a great prompt because it doesn't have anything. It can give you some questions and start you off, but if you already have data, you can give it, like Faisal was saying, give it the data, give it the things you want. And I actually think one of the greatest ways to write a memoir is just get on Zoom call, record your random stuff, all the stuff you want to say, all the things you believe in, all the things you've learned, have it be all recorded, and then take the chunks of it and use AI to process that as inputs, and then use intelligent prompting to help you structure a book or a memoir or whatever it is you want about around that, because then it's really coming from your thoughts and you can approve the way that it's said. You can shape it. That's actually the key message I think around AI today is like you need to shape the AI's usage. You need to shape your interactions with it so that you can create what you want. And a lot of the time people aren't even reading the outputs, let alone shaping
Yeah.
the inputs, let alone shaping the prompt and getting good at prompting. So that's a really
Yeah.
big piece of using AI today. And part of that comes from your own stepping back and thinking like, what am I trying to build? What do I want to do with this AI? And what makes sense for my business model. Do I have a business model? Do I know what I'm offering? All that stuff as a coach that you can go ahead slowly, very slowly without figuring out stuff. You can go just as slow, sometimes even slower with AI, because then you have all these
Yeah.
rabbit holes to run
It,
down.
it will take you in all kinds of rabbit holes. When you were talking, I was thinking, so one way is to go on a Zoom call, but also I wonder if you could do this better where you can just talk to AI, get it to ask you questions. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
that's a
really
great
good.
technique. That's a great technique.
Get AI to, for
Interview.
example, I got with my parents, I got the AI to act as a writer for memoirs, who's an expert in that region, and ask them questions to get them started or get kind of fill in
Great. Great.
some of the. So the AI is now asking them question, they're answering it. So you could do it in a voice because you can activate the voice mode and actually have a conversation with it, or you can do it
Yes.
type it, which
I
is
love doing that
beautiful.
with typing. I call it the interview me method, which where
Mm,
ask me questions, and you can give it the questions to ask you, or you can have it come up with a bunch of questions and pick the questions that you want it to ask you, and the ones that you don't, right? So those
yeah,
questions will give you ideas on where you want to take things or where you want to focus. And you can say, "Hey, I really
yeah,
like this question. Ask me more about that." You can come up with a list of 100 questions and can just ask. You can just talk, and then later on, you can figure out what you want to keep and not. Right?
yeah.
You can go down pretty deep rabbit holes with this.
Yeah,
So
there's so many ways to do it. For example, you can, there's another way, and I'm trying this out where I'm getting it to research certain people that I'm inspired by the people. For example, Rich Litvin, the way he's built his business. You can send a either I'm using the what do you call it, the agent mode to get it to research everything about Rich Litvin. Go research everything about Rich Litvin. What are the questions that Rich Litvin would ask me about my business? Around that. So it's as if you have somebody like Rich Litvin asking questions in his style and the way that he trains,
that's great.
all that stuff. So, or you can upload whatever. Again, it works on what is the input. So it can either go find the input or you give it input. But coming back to what, and this is the point of it, is that a lot of coaches or business owners hope that AI will build everything for them. It cannot. It can give you generic stuff very well, like you said, beautiful garbage, but it will likely not apply. And here's my biggest. I thought of it in my own business. I'm like, my worst nightmare would be is to get in front of a client online or a group of people online or in person at my event where they look at me and be like, that's not what he sounded like online. That would be my worst nightmare. It was like, oh, you've just faked the whole thing to just get me in front of you, and you don't have the skill sets to serve me. And that's the challenge with coaching, because everything you do, you'll end up in front of the client. You're gonna have to support them. That is hard to do. That doesn't happen just because you have AI. That requires skill sets built over years, not even just months.
The rubber will meet the road at some point. So whatever you want to do with AI, if you want to make this expansive machine of content and like funnels and things, at some point someone's going to get on a call with you, which is kind of the point of coaching, right? Unless you're doing tech support, and that's maybe similar.
Yeah,
I don't know how valuable that'll be in the future, but you're going to get on a call. You're going to talk to them. You're going to build a human connection. That's actually where I think the value of coaching will be even higher with AI out there because it's the person in front of you, the connection that you can build. And I think if you don't forget that, you're going to have to build the same skill sets that you would have had to build to get them on the call with you in a way, right? And to be that same person, whatever you're putting out there, you want to be consistent. And so your brand, your own uniqueness, your own strengths, your stories is all part of this puzzle that you put together. And that's the thing that you can't live without, I think, in the future of the coaching world, which you couldn't live without before, but even more so now, where there's just so much generic stuff going out there, is your own life, your own stories. Somebody told me recently, they're a colleague of mine who does what's called AEO, which is optimizing instead of SEO, which is optimizing your content and your websites for search engines. It's AEO. It's like optimizing it for AI. So you show up in ChatGPT or wherever. And one of the things they said to me, which I was like, that is exactly right on, is a lot of the things are very similar to SEO. You still want to have trustworthiness and good content, and you can keep fresh and all that stuff. But the thing that stuck out to me was if you can take your content and slap somebody else's name on it, and it still makes sense the way you wrote it, it might actually be suffering from a lack of uniqueness. And that's where I realized like my content when I put out content, I'm gonna have to be very focused on my own stories and experiences rather than just information, which is actually a really good leap for all coaches to think about from a marketing perspective. It's like stories are really powerful, and marketing information. I feel like information is now so commoditized at this point that it doesn't really matter. It's more about
Yeah.
building connection and leveraging the experience that you really can bring to the table. And judgment is not something that AI is going to have the same way that a human will.
Yeah. So I was just using ChatGPT because we're shopping for a truck, that like a big truck that's gonna tow a fifth wheel or a trailer. And I've been using AI to research a bunch of stuff around it. And we went to an RV show. We looked at a bunch of RVs, took pictures, uploaded it in there, and then got it to match which kind of truck. And out of that, it created like every checklist possible for me to look at it. And I'm about to go to the dealership after this call.
Mm.
The salesperson cannot give me any information that is not there already. He's gonna have to make my experience a better quality. Otherwise, I go to the next place. And I probably have a lot more research than he does in his memory, and I have a checklist with everything I'm going to be ticking off. I don't even need to think about it, but they're relevant to my experience. But then what the salesperson on the other side can do is, okay, let me take a look at it, see how we can support you here, and even
Ideally.
ideally, right? But it doesn't. So even when I was at the RV show and it was is a place there are lots of salespeople, and I was kind of going and talking to them. I was telling them, like, I can train all these guys because they were arguing with me. I was telling them, I was like, oh, if I pull this trailer, it's too long. What about the stability? Instead of telling me that you have other options, they're like, no, 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 that doesn't happen. This happens. I've done my research. I'm like, no, like this is what and I have multiple friends who have this.
You're an
I've done.
expert on their product already. You know?
I know a lot more about it, so it's not good to argue with the customer anyway, but it doesn't work at all because now they are using their memory as a way to well, oh, okay, where did you research that? You can ask more. What were you looking for? The ones that were really good is like, oh, okay, great, you've done your research, so tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, and they would sit down with you. They're doing a lot of discovery. They're trying to figure out how they can support you versus no, 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 that doesn't work. This works. Let me show you this other thing. One salesperson, I could not believe it. My kids are there, the whole family's there, and I'm like, this is what I'm looking for. He's like, I just went to Indiana. I saw this fifth wheel. It's just like a big trailer, and it's not for kids, but it's amazing. You gotta come see it. He's not listening to me. I'm like, why am I wasting? I didn't say it, but I'm like, why am I wasting my time?
Let me tell you about all the stuff that I care about, even though you're trying to buy from me, right?
Yes, and that's the reality of business world is going to be your in this actually Daniel, is it Daniel Pink,
Yeah.
the author? So he wrote about this to sell as human like a few years ago, where we have already been before AI. We were in information age. Now we're aggregating this information much more quickly. By then, like just even a few years ago, maybe even a decade ago, customers have a lot more information about your product than you do. Now it's even worse. It's like they know ins and outs of everything you're doing. So
Yeah.
if they don't see any uniqueness in your approach, a better experience, and uniqueness of your story, and why they should work with you in terms of values and other things versus the next person, you don't have a business. It's you're and if your hope is that AI is going to help you build a business, it's not. So we actually just did our in-person event in Santa Fe. It was interesting. So as we were walking them through everything, they were actually using AI. And so when they would get stuck, I could tell people were on their phone in the beginning. I'm like, are they distracted? And then later on, when they would share, they're like, yeah, I had to put some things in the AI because it was the thinking was complicated. So they had to use AI a little bit, but they were putting inputs. But the thing that they took away at the end of this event in multiple sessions was not the information that they took away, because AI could give them much better information than we probably could, but it was the experience that they took away. It was the camaraderie with other people around them, the visuals and how they felt in that environment and what they're carrying away with them. It stays with them. And I just got off a call with one of my clients from there, and it's like I'm still thinking about that daily. And it was one of the visualizations that they felt and shared it with each other in the event in person. That experience AI cannot generate yet.
I think what you're really saying is that well, this is like people go to movies for a reason. They want an experience. They want to experience something. You could just actually read the plot of the movie online and get the
Yeah.
information. It's not about the information. It's about the experience. And I think life, like movies, are just a microcosm of that concept in life, where we want to have a good experience of life. We want to enjoy our experience. We want to have good experiences. And coaching is an experience, right? When I have a client come into my sessions, I'm thinking about, well, not as consciously as I used to be, but is this client having a good experience? Like it's always in the back of my head. Like, what's the experience of this like for the client? How can I make this exciting, interesting for the client? And obviously, we all have levels of that we can go to the next level on. I'm thinking about like how even just talking this through right now, there are things that I can do in my sessions to make them more experientially powerful. Um, and I have a session coming up tomorrow, so I'm going to do that. I have a couple of ideas on what I could do. And one of the things I do as an example is we stop to do energizing, to take breaks or to stop. And that helps them have a better experience with the rest of the coaching. As an example, if somebody comes in and they're all hot and you make them slow down and stop and breathe, that's a powerful experience at the early start of a coaching session that you can do for people. And that changes the whole experience going forward. It's like if you go to a movie. I went to the me and my wife went to the James Brown movie a long time ago because we happened to be free. We didn't have kids at the time, and we were like, let's stop at this movie, and we went and watched the movie. And the first 5 minutes in, I was like, this is terrible. And we waited a little long. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be just like this the whole way through. We gave it 10 minutes. I'm like, let's get out of here. And we left the movie theater, and I'm like, I think we can get a refund. She's like, you can't get a refund for a movie. I'm like, yes, you can. So we went up and they gave us a refund. If you
You
didn't
can
know
get it
that,
within 15 minutes, I
you
think.
can get a refund from that terrible experience. It was terrible. It was like 15 minutes in, we're out, and they're like, okay, here you go.
Yeah,
And I left
and
because I didn't want to have that kind of experience. I saw what was coming. I didn't want that experience. I want an experience of an enjoyable movie, a time where I don't have to like be like gnashing my teeth, you know. But the point I'm
and that
making is like you want
and
your coaching
very
sessions to be like that in
equivalent
experience.
equivalent to your experience. What you're saying, the first experience will be when they talk to you. When they,
That's
it's not
right.
even the coaching session, when they just see you, whether it's video or hear your voice the
Also true.
first time,
Yeah.
that is going to determine from that point on. It's not even about the first impression. It's more about how do they feel with you, even if you're not doing any coaching other than just they need to see your level of care. They need to see what you're doing. And think about it, if online you sound one way and then in that experience you sound completely different, that's going to create a subconscious trust issue
Yes.
automatically. And as soon as
It's
there's a
like
trust issue,
incongruence.
yeah, and the trust issue creates breakdown in credibility. So now they're thinking, what else is not real with this person that's doing? People don't have a problem with you using technology and AI and all that stuff, but they need to know that what they're getting on the other side is you, is the services that you provide. And then I'm gonna circle this back to what we started with is, so what does that mean in terms of your marketing and sales process? Which means that you got to actually go out there and get in front of people. You got to
And be
talk to
yourself.
people. Yeah, no, but you don't know what that self is. Like you can say because self changes with context a lot of times. You will talk to your kids a certain way. The core of you will be the same, but how it expresses in different places will be very different. So you don't know how you what's your voice in the coaching world, and unless you're experimenting with
Putting it
it in
out
the
there.
training world. So are you doing putting content, for example, videos? Like it takes a lot to kind of go through that over and over for you to kind of get your voice there. You can keep refining it, but you need to do a lot of it. Same thing with sales calls, like get taking people through your experience multiple times, and then imagine you input that, like you had 10 people go through your process and you had a recording of it, or at least a few of them. You put it into AI, it can analyze all the patterns, your voice patterns, your how you talk, the questions you ask. It will help you do amazing things. Like I'm blown away when I input this stuff. I was like, holy shit, this is really good if it has the right data. And this is why I'm actually slowing down and spending a lot of time and not just giving it random prompts, but giving it data that it needs for me to move this forward. And so I always tell coaches, like, AI is not going to accelerate your business if you're not doing the real work, which means you're not experimenting with the first condition for you to be a coach is to actually coach people. If you're not coaching people, you don't even know what to input into AI because it will just pick up a generic version of a coach. And then if you're not taking people through your sales process, you don't have a sales process. It will, at the most AI can do is, okay, here's a generic process that it doesn't even know what kind of coaching you do. Even if it does, it doesn't exactly know what it is. And then you would still have to go experiment. You still have to put yourself out there. But most coaches are not doing any of that. And this is why I was sharing the story of the coaches that I'm following, 8 to 10 of them. You might be one of them that listening to that. Like your content looks really good. The problem is that I don't, and some of them I know them. I don't see you in it for one. Two, I know that you're going to stop because you're not going to see quick results based on how beautiful the garbage looks, like Daniel put it, and then you're going to stop. It's a lot like working out for 3 months and you don't see any results in your body. 6 months,
Yeah.
you don't see any results because
I
you're
mean,
following the wrong system.
the key 2 points you're making are, well, that we've talked about today are, one is bring your real self into it in whatever context that means and show up consistently knowing that you're going to be the one they talk to, right? It's like,
Yeah.
who are you? What's your uniqueness that you can bring to this? And then keep showing up. And then you can use AI tools because you're going through that process yourself. AI is not going to take you through that process by itself, right? You're not going to be able to grow that way. You're not going to be able to get people onto calls with you and do a great job as a coach unless you're doing that work.
Yeah, and always remember, you're ultimately going to end up on a call with a person. That could be audio, that could be video, or it could be in person. And always think about it, that my first interaction with, even if it's my post, is this a real one? Now, I'm not saying don't be afraid of not being authentic. Go experiment. There are things my team puts out. I look at that, I'm like, holy shit, what is this? That's not me.
Yeah.
And I will correct for that. I will improve on that. But it's an iterative process. Everything will be an iterative process. And if you're thinking that AI will make your life easier, and also there's another concern that coaches used to have, and I think it's going to get amplified, is that they see a lot of noise. So they see a lot of coaches out there because now it's easier. The entry point was zero to begin with. Like
Now
there was it
it's like
very.
automatic.
It's like now you can just tell AI to build you a 30-day or a 6-month content calendar, and they can just keep putting it. And it looks like, whoa, why should anybody listen to me
Because
or
everybody's doing the same thing.
yeah, so your story, like Daniel talked about, your unique stories, your unique challenges, how you take people through the process, that stuff becomes even more and more important. The human component becomes even more and more important. Your client's testimonial, how they speak about you, how they share about you, how they talk about you with the people, that's not going to come from your AI post. It simply won't. But AI is an incredibly powerful tool when you have the iteration and experimentation with you because it can accelerate your process. It can help you fill in gaps. And I'm testing it with so many different things. And all of them, if I have initial baseline, it's very good at tweaking what you're doing. But if you don't have a baseline, it doesn't know what to do with you.
Yeah, which actually reminds me, like AI can also take you in the opposite direction that you want to go by giving you lots of great rabbit holes that you can distract yourself with, so you don't do the hard work of showing up when you're afraid.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
Yeah.
a really convenient way. Like you don't have to scroll anymore. You can just pretend you're working with AI. You know.
Yeah, and I, for example, I have to be very mindful of that. If I'm building something, I need to have a component of it I can test. So I'll go, for example, I'm working on my rebranding. I've inputted a bunch of stuff. I'll get it to create a post and I'll put it out there and I'll test it. I'll create a training based on that. I'll see, okay, is this any different than the last post that I did? What's hitting here? And I'll feed it back into it. And that's
You
what
mean
AI is really
testing to
good.
see if there was any engagement and then telling AI what was engaged with?
Yeah, and then I can bring the thing back, get it to analyze it. Okay, why did it work better or worse?
And it can
Not in this.
theorize like, hey, maybe these reasons are why, right?
And then you gotta go do the thing. It's not that different when I was talking about our RV. Like we had to look into some options. We had some ideas of what we want. We looked it up, got AI to research it, looked at a bunch, but we had to actually go to two RV shows, tired with the whole family, and go inside, look at it, feel it, and then bring the pictures back, input it, and give us like these are the things we're looking for. What can you extrapolate based on this? What do I need to look for in a truck? And today I'm going and looking at trucks, but I have to actually go out there in the world do. And this is a personal thing. Business is not that different.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, that's what we wanted to talk about today. Is there any closing words that you want to add, Faisal?
Yeah, you're not going to gain authenticity by sitting there meditating and thinking about your positive thoughts and this stuff. That's the initial foundation. But you got to actually put yourself out there as a trainer, as a coach, as a business owner for people to feel you out and experiment. And then you can bring the data back to AI and it's going to help accelerate the process.
Yeah. Yeah, and
If you
if
forget
any
that,
of
you're
this
going to build some garbage thing that nobody's going to buy.
Yeah, and if any of this is resonating with you, if you're hearing yourself in some of these descriptions of what we're talking about, what that coaches are doing, or then that they need to do, or you know that you need to do it, or you want to just join a community where we talk about AI and we talk about coaching and we help you build your business, go to cmc.coach and join our free Facebook group. You can message us directly. We'll get back to you. And we would love to support you in building a coaching business that lasts into the future, that helps you differentiate yourself. And part of that is you building the skills. So check us out, cmc.coach, and we'll see you next time on the Coach's Journey podcast.
Yeah, and please share this with any coaches that you think they need to hear, because it might not be you, but you might have a friend or a colleague that needs to hear these things.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Faisal.
Bye.
Bye.